Disclaimer: this show is not for the faint of heart or the easily offended. The views expressed here are that of the show hosts only, and not their wives, girlfriends, husbands, boyfriends, polygamous partners, employers, music artists, businesses, or anyone other than the Cognitive Disillusions podcasters. The explicit tag is there for a good reason. Please proceed with caution.
Every one of us will have to decide whether or not we want to keep this great republic or whether we're willing to sacrifice it and surrender it to tyranny.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Cognitive Disillusions podcast, where we address the current issues of today with brash humor, skepticism, or aggression to invoke critical thinking in the masses. We take our tightly held beliefs, everyone's tightly held beliefs, mash them up with current events, politics, and religion, then throw them to the fires of skepticism. We magnify the so-called logic, then blow it all up. There is no green zone of safety for a lack of critical thinking. This is episode number 15. Your hosts today are Joel, John, and I'm Al, and we are your tormentors. Joel, John, how are you guys doing today?
You first, Joel.
I'm doing pretty good. Enjoying the weather again. It's beautiful in Oregon.
I'm not very happy with retirement, but that's another story.
Yeah, we can... if you'd like to, we can go into all the shit that people are getting fucked with left and right here.
Honestly, that'd be a topic for another podcast, talking about how the ACA has fucked things up.
The ACA?
Yeah.
Affordable Care Act?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a totally different ACA that I was thinking of that had nothing to do with that.
There are a couple of American something that starts with C associations out there, yeah.
Yeah. So the topics that we were going to cover today both involve children and what I believe is totally inappropriate behavior for both. First, let's kick off with John's suggestion. You suggested this last week while we were running our old podcast because it came up in Anchorage. And it was children trying to poison their classmate. Do you want to expound on what that's all about?
Sure, yeah. My wife found this one. It's a charter school, first of all, and apparently these 3 first graders plotted and planned to use silica gel as a poison to try and kill one of their classmates. Mind you, these are first graders trying to kill another first grader using, of course, a non-toxic substance, but they didn't know. The article here that I'm looking at dated March 31st, so it's a little dated, it's a week old, says that the children believed it would be harmful to their classmate. These first graders were suspended for a week, and then they were being allowed back to class. This being a week later, I haven't found anything about the effects of them returning to class, but I'd suspect that if they wanted this classmate dead, they would try again. My question to the two of you would be, is that acceptable to send these kids back to school?
That's a tough question. And I don't see anywhere in the article or any of the follow-up from KTUU 7 out of Anchorage. I don't see any indication that these kids were sent into counseling, spoke to any sort of counselor. But then again, that may not be indicated, because it might be a private thing. But there's no indication as to why they wanted to poison their classmate. I mean, I'm concerned about it. The school is stuck in a legal catch there, though, depending on what the school rules are. And they technically didn't actually poison the student. They didn't successfully bring the product to school, and it was a non-toxic product. So it's tough. What do you think, Joel?
Well, I certainly think that if there was no bridge between them finding this out, meaning the school administration, and them coming back to school but a week's time, if that was the only bridge between those two things, that is grossly inappropriate. I think counseling on some level is beyond common sense, a mandate. I can't even imagine what could have led up to this. It's mind-boggling.
First graders, 6-year-olds, man. What the fuck?
I'm so interested to know, and I know I never will, but what were the influences? Like, I can't even, I mean, I start to think about, I don't know, episodes of Law and Order or some such thing. What could have possibly put this idea in their minds, let alone to go through with it? I mean, that's got to be, maybe they're the 1%, the 1% of population that's the psychopaths,
Well, that's the concern, though. I mean, I could understand, and that would probably fall in line if it was one child. You could probably single them out and go, this child's fucked up. But the fact that one child or more than one child conspired to get a group of 3 of them to work together to do this.
Well, let's consider what a psychopath is. They are very influential people oftentimes.
Well,
and
yeah,
especially, and they're usually above average intelligence, and even in the relative terms of first graders, it's not easy. I should say it's not hard to get a first grader to follow along with another first grader, with the right verbiage and such. So clearly there must have been a ringleader, I think, in this scenario.
Certainly. The article doesn't specify, it doesn't give names, doesn't give hardly anything. It's been a week and there's basically no follow-up on this. But I've worked with first and second graders, and I cannot imagine under any circumstances where a couple of kids would want to kill another kid and would go through with something as complex as using silica gel to do it. I mean, that shows a marked influence somewhere outside the classroom, outside the age group.
Yeah. Especially with the plot. Part of the plot that these students was they were going to slip the silicone gel into the lunchtime seaweed wrap or seaweed candy or whatever this child was eating. So they had some help planning this. This isn't something...
Yeah.
I know my son in particular is extremely adept at finding creative solutions to problems, but at 6, even with his intelligence level, he wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, the great thing to do would be to sneak this in somebody's lunch seaweed, for Christ's sake. That's just a little fucking crazy to me.
It's literally crazy. I mean, I wonder, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. Al, I think I deserve this anyways, based on last week's episode, but do you think that gender plays any role in this? Because
I don't know what gender were the kids.
It turns out all involved were females. I don't know if it plays a role, but I just can't imagine little boys doing that. They just punch each other or something, But then again, I can't imagine anybody of that age group coming up with something like this. So
I wonder, because of where this is, Anchorage, Alaska, and now that I know that they're all female, I'm wondering if there is some sort of race element to it or ethnicity element to it, because it's a very closed community up there in Anchorage, and it's a combination of very Anglican mix with very Inuit mix. So makes me wonder if there wasn't a race thing involved.
Well, I've been to Alaska, and I've seen the animosity that you're describing. So it's very real between the native cultures and everybody else. So again, this is tough because we have so little to go on. I don't even know how to unpack this without a severe amount of speculation.
Yeah, I'm on page 4 of a basic Google search of Winterberry School, Anchorage, and it's mostly reviews. The latest news about this first grader suspended for plotting to poison and kill a classmate. The latest news is literally March 31st.
Oh, wow.
I almost feel like reaching out to the news organization that ran that story and saying, what the fuck? I mean, you do realize there's this thing called the internet.
Well,
you can't just open up a can of something like that and just let it linger.
I smell cover up on this one for whatever, for some reason there is no news after March 31st when the news broke, and I'm now on page 6, and literally half, fully half of the hits that I've gotten on a Google search are ratings and reviews, and the reviews are just crazy good about this school.
Ah, one of those Google clean places. Well, what do you want to bet? What do you think the over-under is here on how many of the Palin kids are involved?
That's cute. I don't know. Let's. Hey, hang on. I might be able to find that out. So, there it is.
I was really thinking Al was going to get a laugh out of that.
I'm sorry. I had my mic muted while I was laughing.
Okay.
I was doing work to research this, and unfortunately keyed in right after you said that and was like, oh shit, they can't hear me. So Mallory Peebles, Peebles. I'm assuming that's a woman, granted, because it's Mallory, and the pictures of a female, but I could be wrong. She's the primary anchor and reporter of this story from the 29th. So what I'm going to do is I'll send her an email, and we'll follow up on next week's show on if I get any response.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, or tweet her or something.
No, if I tweet her like that, then my wife will get pissed. It just won't go well for my marriage. Oh, Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry, man.
That was...
I was totally thinking something else.
You're fucking annoying. I'm so mad that I even responded to that, because that needed crickets. But my disgust broke through.
I will put crickets in for you. I will make you guys happy.
Jesus. Well, I don't think we're going to hear from Mallory, because let's think about her name. The first syllable in her name is Mal, which means bad. So obviously, nothing good's going to happen.
And I'm putting crickets in there. Fucking guy. Jesus.
One-upper. I'm the one-upper.
You certainly are a topper.
Hey, at least I'm not a bottom.
Okay, so Wait, what happened?
Nothing.
Don't worry about it, John.
John's like totally into his research. He's not even paying attention to our stupid shit.
Oh, I missed it. What did I miss? You guys being idiots again?
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
That's fair.
Yeah, it breaks down to nothing more than we're just complete asshats, and
Yeah.
that's all we were doing.
To be expected.
I think that explaining it would only compound the asshattedness.
Yeah. And there's going to be some serious crickets in there, too. Jesus.
Probably a good thing.
Not even 20 minutes into the show. Oh.
Okay. So I found the page for this school. No sign of the Palins, but if the pictures that are being posted on their Facebook page are any indicator of the culture in the school, first of all, it's very dominantly white. There's a lot of Western culture going on. There's a couple of pictures in here of some kind of competition that they got going on where different teams have different colors, and then they're named after Greek city-states like Sparta, Thebes, Corinth, and Athens. Very clear Greek orientation going on there, probably for college reasons I couldn't possibly imagine. But there are also several pictures of artwork done by students that is primarily Van Gogh oriented. If they are exposing first graders to Van Gogh, that may be an indicator of why some people may have problems dealing with reality. So yeah, Al, a very brief analysis of the school's Facebook page reveals some emphasis on the Greek lifestyle as a where it might relate to college life, and quite a bit of emphasis on Van Gogh. And I made the comment that if they're exposing first graders to Van Gogh, either his artwork or his lifestyle, and giving any kind of explanation whatsoever, then I can understand why kids are having trouble getting a grip on reality.
I don't see why. He was a perfectly sane and normal individual.
Based on
whose definition of normal?
Al's.
Obviously mine.
Oh,
there was nothing wrong with him except for a little syphilis and psychosis.
Quite a bit of psychosis. He tried to kill 8 of his competitors.
Well, who doesn't try to kill their competitors?
I don't.
Certainly not first graders.
Oh, well. We'll just bypass that and move on.
Yeah, as far back as I can
Al, have I told you lately how much I like you? I'm not terrified at all.
Oh, come on now.
You're right. I'm scared shitless.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, as far back as I can find on this Facebook page, there's a very competitive atmosphere at this school.
I don't know about conflating competitiveness though with attempted murder. That seems like a bit of a leap.
Well, it depends on the type of competition and the type of motivation that's being given.
I do agree, but I have to think about it in the context of first grade, hoping it's somewhere within the continuum of reason. I don't know. I'm not sure. Again, in this vacuum of information, I don't know. The fact that there's no follow-up on this is mind-boggling to me, and it really does. I mean, whoever even has to go to page 2 of Google to find this stuff out? And we're how deep in?
Okay, so my wife found another article that's stating very, very explicitly the Anchorage School District and the Winterberry principal would not comment further on the incident, but confirmed by email that an email was sent to parents, really, and that the students would be referred would be returning to school after their suspension. Yeah.
They're not taking this seriously.
No, they're not.
At all. So there's no reason to have any conjecture that there might have been any kind of intervention here.
No, I'm not detecting any effort to educate the kids at all. I'm sure that there is. I'm just not getting it from the news.
What if they literally are not taking it seriously? I mean,
Well, then
what kind of dereliction of duty would that be?
Then the kids are going to try it again, and sooner or later we'll find out.
Well, next thing they'll be using hemlock or something, and something bad will happen.
Did
I
we
hope
lose
that's not
Alan?
the case.
No, I'm here. I had my mic muted because I was typing, and the clicking noise would have irritated even me.
Yeah. So, Al, we're doing a podcast now. If you want to join us, you're welcome to do so.
It's a pleasure to be invited onto a podcast. Thank you.
You know the podcast that you started?
Oh shit, that's right. Well, I never claimed to be a fucking professional now, did I?
That's for certain.
Well,
So,
of all the
yeah.
dangers that our kids could face, poisoning at school is probably on the low end. And some may say that, a danger to our kids face every day is firearms in a home. While I completely disagree with this concept, there was a pamphlet when I took my daughter to her doctor's appointment last week at the pediatrician's office. There's a pamphlet that says, ask, is there an unlocked gun in your home? Dun, dun, dun. And they didn't even put this pamphlet like where the parents see. They put it at the fucking child's eye level. So if you're anywhere between 6 and 10, you're looking right at this fucking thing.
Describe the picture.
So the picture shows a child reaching up to a drawer that's obviously well above his or her reach, and a pistol in the drawer. And the whole mapping of this, basically to get people used to the fact of other people asking them if there's a firearm in their home. But not in an appropriate way, because a couple of years ago, when this first started at the medical clinic, my child has insurance through, and we have insurance, or shortly not going to be having insurance through, I'm sure, is that they started this whole national campaign, You Will Ask, and it's part of the tie-ins with federal, safety movement towards firearms. And this healthcare organization put it in their daily questions. So anytime you took your child to the doctor, or you went to the doctor as an adult, one of their questions that the doctors had to ask was, is there firearms in your home? How many do you have? Where are they located? Fuck you. I'm not answering that shit. I remember I was so shocked when my doctor first asked it. I looked at him and I go, I'm not fucking answering a goddamn question. That's not your job to ask me. Your job is to ask me about my health, not about firearms. Fortunately, my doctor agreed, and there was plenty of issues raised with membership services and things like that, to where the healthcare organization took it off their checklist of questions to ask. But they're still leaving these pamphlets up, especially in the pediatric offices, and it's not directed towards parents. It's directed towards kids to basically tell other people how many weapons are in your home, specifically firearms, what kind are they, what do they look like, where are they? It's bullshit, in my opinion. I was pretty pissed. I know I brought it up to you guys. Have you guys got any take on it?
Well, I guess this is a question of the age right now. Is the topic of guns, is that a public health issue or not? I don't have any statistics in front of me. I'd be interested to see some, but certainly any kind of threat to one's health and safety could be considered a public health issue. However, I would imagine that if you look at data, you'd probably find more high-risk things in everyone's home than weapons, or I should say guns, because anything really could be used as a weapon, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know where I am on this. I find myself of two minds simultaneously every time I think about this.
John, you had some input?
Well, I'm looking at some of the quote unquote facts on this this sheet of yours. An average of 8 U.S. children and teens are shot every day. As many, if not more, are killed by alcohol. As many, if not more, die from cigarette smoke. Either secondhand or from smoking themselves.
And otherwise, accidental poisonings.
And otherwise,
from silica gel, yeah.
From silica gel.
Yeah, I'm sure. I choked on a fake titty. Sorry.
Go ahead, John.
Man, is it filled with air? No, I'm kidding. No. So, I mean, we don't have this conversation about steak knives. We don't have this conversation about cars. We really don't, and yet we're having this conversation about guns. Yeah, guns are portrayed in TV and movie as this glorified thing, and the heroes seem to always use them, except for the Marvel heroes who have built-in guns and who smash things. And violence is a part of being human. When you teach kids that violence is okay and it's to be expected, and oh, by the way, ask if there's an unlocked gun in your home, this kind of feels to me like we're planting ideas in our kids' heads. I'm asking myself seriously, is this campaign of theirs really designed to prevent gun violence, or is it designed to plant ideas in kids' heads about gun violence?
I would say it's to plant ideas, because even the questionnaire here, right under the picture, it says most parents ask basic safety questions if their child wants to play in an unfamiliar home. Will an adult be present? Do you know that my child's diabetic or allergic to peanuts and furry animals? Do you have a swimming pool? To be honest with you, I've never asked most of those questions, and it's not because I'm an irresponsible parent. It's because I know what my child is, their allergies or their issues, or whether or not they can swim. Presenting that, go ahead.
I just want to clarify for our listeners that he said allergy to peanuts. He kind of slurred it a little bit, so it sounded something that might happen in a priesthood. So, wanted to clarify.
I'm sorry, it's really late. I have been drinking, and I am fucking Irish. So just let that slide by.
All right.
Well, that depends on how much you've been drinking. Unless you've drank a keg, then, it shouldn't be affecting you. What's wrong with you?
No, when my accent comes out, a lot of words slur. Peanuts sound like penis. And it entices Joel. So Joel obviously has to point out that he wants penis. It's okay, Joel. We love you.
That was a leap.
I don't judge, Joel. So, anyway.
Planting ideas in children's heads.
Well, no children should be listening to this fucking podcast.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah, I do want to ask a question. So if the motion that we're discussing here is, what is the motive? Is it to prevent gun accidents, or is it to plant ideas in kids' heads? Can you guys unpack what that means? What ideas? And I really want you to be honest here. I want you to tell me what ideas you think the people coming up with these programs are actually truly, and be charitable to their views, trying to put into kids' heads.
I have no doubt in my mind that they're honestly trying to make children, more to the point, make parents aware of where their children are and what they're doing and things of that nature. I have no doubt in my mind that the organization has at its core the best interest of whoever they're trying to care for. The problem is...
So it would be an unintended consequence rather than an intentional
I remain unconvinced because, again, I have no doubt that their motivations may be thus, but I'm not going to put it past them to try and
It's
create
certainly political. It's certainly political.
Absolutely.
There's no you don't have to mince words. It is politics, because the data, when we're talking about 350 million, I think, including all the kids in the United States, something around there.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
8 a day, so that's a couple thousand a year. Those are all lives that are meaningful, significant, all of that stuff. I'm not detracting from the value of every single life. However, where do you put your resources?
Well,
where do you put your attention?
Go ahead, John.
Let me finish the thought I had earlier.
Sure.
No.
So, well, all right, fine. Al, you plug your ears. So here's the problem with making children aware of this sort of thing. You remember when you were a kid, did you ever go over to a friend's house? I'm sure you did. I went over to my best friend's house a lot. And I know now that his father and his mother, but his father kept several firearms in their closet. I never knew that then. It didn't even occur to me that maybe they might. I knew that my dad had rifles in both in his closet and in the garage. He doesn't now. He's given them over to his son-in-law. But the point is, it would never have occurred to me to either ask or to look. But this sort of thing in a doctor's office at a child's eye level, first of all, and pamphlets just sitting there that kids are going to be looking at, maybe not, I don't know. Maybe they'll see the picture here and they'll be, ooh, that's cute, that's neat, let me look at that. It's planting ideas in kids' heads. I cannot imagine under what circumstances a kid would be looking for a real firearm or even be looking for a firearm outside of their friend's room.
Yeah, I actually having seen the picture, and maybe we'll put I think we should definitely put a link to this picture. It really was an aha moment for me, because I hadn't considered that perspective, that this, and it really is the picture that tells the story here. Mm-hmm. I hadn't considered being a kid, seeing that picture and going, oh, that's where people keep guns? Like, I could really see that happening. And I'm not pro-gun as much as you guys are. Again, I think I've stated pretty clearly that I constantly have two minds about this subject. I just don't know. And it really, the picture is provocative, and I can definitely see it having unintended consequences.
Well, and there's a farther expanse to this, is the fact that nowhere on this list, or nowhere on the construct, or even on the group that advocates this, which is called Ceasefire Oregon Education Foundation, they are specifically an anti-gun group. They're a group that specifically wants all guns taken away from all citizens, except for law enforcement and military. So you've got this group being allowed to put these in a doctor's office, a pediatrician's office. They aren't advocating, hey, ask the parents, do you keep heroin in your home? Do you have a fire extinguisher under? Their only intent is to remove firearms from citizens' homes. So the concern I'm having here is, most parents, when they let kids go over, don't go to the owner of the home and go, hey, you a pedophile? You know what I mean? They don't go, do you have heroin stuck in your back office? Are you growing marijuana, which is now legal in several states? Are you growing marijuana in a back room? No. These aren't questions that are being asked. Do you have open alcohol containers available?
These are things that, better question, yeah.
Well, and these are things that, or accessible alcohol containers. These are questions that are more pertinent to the safety of a child than this firearm question, because most kids are not going to be looking for that. They're going to be looking for the common things that they see. They're going to be looking for alcohol, cigarettes, tobacco, drugs, and a responsible parent I put my cleaning solutions for the house in a locked drawer, in a locked cabinet beneath the sink. It's secure enough for small children not to get into it, so hopefully they're not going to drink from it, you know. And my kids are older, and we still have those latches on the cabinets. We keep the alcohol out of reach and in a cabinet out of view. We don't go telling people. And if somebody were to ask, "Do you have alcohol in the house?" I'd say that's none of your damn business. Because as a responsible adult, I'm putting it out of reach of the kids, out of view of the kids. I mean, very few times do my kids ever see me have alcohol. You know, the most times they, on average, see me drink alcohol is at family get-togethers where there's glasses of wine. And there are some advocates out there that go, "Oh, glasses of wine. Oh, you're teaching them that drinking is okay." No. Teaching them that as an adult you have certain responsibilities and you're allowed to do things that other people aren't. I've taught my kids about firearm safety. Both of them have shot my weapons. But they know that they're not supposed to touch them, and I don't tell them where I have them.
See, and that's the thing. When I was a kid, I was never really curious about firearms because I grew up in the 80s when Boy Scouting was actually decent. And my dad took me out with the Boy Scout troop, and we shot rifles 2 or 3 times a year. We did we did rifle practice. Mind you, not pistols, and any kind of horseplay was severely dealt with, usually by, "Okay, you're done. You don't get to play anymore." And it was play. It was supervised play, but it was play. And it was a comfortable atmosphere. It was a safe atmosphere, and it was a comfortable atmosphere. I was comfortable around firearms. Children that are sheltered from those things and who have any kind of curiosity and who have ever watched TV are going to be curious about these things. They're going to try and, figure out, what is a firearm, what does it do, how does it work? Ooh, look, there's a real firearm in this drawer in the nightstand next to my best friend's parents' bed. Let's take a look at that.
You know what's interesting about this, just piggybacking on what you're saying, is I remember as a kid that my former stepdad had several guns. He was a hunter. And I don't recall ever talking about it. I do recall seeing them out, and I don't remember being remotely interested or curious, for whatever reason, about picking one up. There was sort of, I don't know, maybe there was an intuitive thing to that, that I could see clearly that would be a problem. I can't say specifically, but it was never even remotely on my mind. And again, we didn't talk about it. It just was. So I don't know.
If religion is
it's all anecdotal, these two things, but
If religion has taught me anything, look at Catholic girls. What's the paradigm? What's the cultural idea about Catholic girls? They're easy, right? Why are they easy? Because they're sheltered. Kids who are sheltered from things have a tendency to have a natural curiosity about the thing that they're being forbidden from experiencing. So guns are no different. A large portion of the United States population, in my opinion, is creating a culture of curiosity. And fulfillment of that curiosity is going to happen one way or the other. Most of the cases where children are being shot and killed are in, are in inner cities. They're in lower economic spectrum homes. So I think the better question to be asking is not, how do we shelter kids from guns? How do we keep kids from getting their hands on guns? That's not the right question to be asking, in my opinion. The right question to be asking is, why do they want to handle guns? And why do they want to shoot each other? Is it because we've created a culture where killing is okay, where it's a viable option for eliminating competition? Let's look at gangs. Let's look at the drug culture. Let's look at what movies and TV portray about the drug culture and about guns. You know, when you glorify these things and you make them look heroic, kids want to emulate that. You know, we're not talking about Spider-Man, we're not talking about Captain America, we're not talking about Batman, although Batman does use gun-like things. He very specifically and very poignantly in every one of the movies that I've ever seen tells his partner or tells somebody no guns.
Not in the most recent movie. Just to get you up on the Batman Superman, which was awesome movie. Sidebar here. Batman does use firearms, does kill a lot of fucking people in that movie.
You know what? That's going to ruin it for me. Because
it deters from the comic. It really does quite a bit.
That's not Batman. Come on.
To give a fair shout out, even though I don't like Ben Affleck's position on firearms, he did a hell of a job as Batman. I was actually kind of shocked. Anyway.
Fuck Ben Affleck.
That's
all I'm going to say about that motherfucker.
Really, man, if you bottle that stuff up, it's just going to eat you alive, man. Don't hold back. I'm serious. You know?
I don't like that guy. I don't know if he's all bullshit, but I don't like that guy.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. I am not remotely kidding.
Yeah, I wouldn't have detected it.
It's racist. It's gross.
Oh, so now Ben Affleck is racist. Okay, so well, he is white. So. Anyway, the questions that I'm suggesting that we ask are far deeper and quite painful than the questions that are being asked. You know, we're like this pamphlet is suggesting, okay, a violation of your neighbor's privacy is okay. That, you know, you should be asking these questions. Honestly, if somebody walked into my home with their kid and said, "Is there an unlocked gun in your home?" the first thing that would come to my mind is, "What do you want to do with my gun?" It's not. It wouldn't even dawn on me that he's asking because, you know, he's afraid that his kid's going to find it and shoot himself. No, that wouldn't occur to me because I honestly have more faith in humanity than that. I think that kids have seen enough TV and movies to know that guns hurt people, and I think that most children don't want to hurt each other.
Yeah, I actually had this discussion with my wife as well as another family member, and I said something similar. I said, the first question I ask is, why do you want to know? The second question would be, the second statement would be, that's none of your business. Take your fucking kid and leave. Because it's none of somebody else's business what I have in my home, or how to use it, or where it's at. None of your damn business.
You wouldn't. Let me ask you this: do you have any empathy for the fact that a lot of people don't have a comfort regarding weapons, and certainly a lot of people vehemently dislike them and think they should be outlawed? Do you have any empathy for those people that don't understand what it is they're asking and what that entails? So what I'm getting at is there a way to take that situation that you've just described and actually use it as an opportunity to maybe educate somebody else about etiquette surrounding this?
I have empathy. I do. I understand that some people are terrified of weapons or they've had bad experiences, etc. I understand that. The best way to emphasize this is if somebody were to come to you and say, do you have an unlocked firearm in your home, would be to say, do you have any naked pictures of your wife that I can see? And their initial response would be, that's none of your fucking business for the most part, unless they're really swingers like that, then hey, come on over. We'll have this conversation. But really, it's none of your business what somebody else has in their home when it comes to firearms or things like that. If you're trusting enough of that person to bring your kid over to let them play in your home with your kids, you know that person well enough to most likely know what they have in their home. Because I don't just let my kids go play in any neighbor's house until I know the neighbors.
I understand all that, and I mean, I think it makes a lot of assumptions, but I don't know if it needs to just go to, DEFCON 1 right away, if that question were asked, just because of the culture that we live in.
To give you an
because
idea,
there's these pamphlets out there. It's
well,
not. I mean, you can equate it to other things. I get that, but why don't we spend more time talking to each other? Somebody asked this question. I don't personally own any weapons, but which is probably a good thing. But I can't understand why it's on the level of what you were just talking about. It doesn't seem to equate to me.
Joel, in defense of Al, let me present a little something to you. So again, in my opinion, this subject, the subject of guns and gun awareness and gun safety, it's not about guns. It's not about privacy. It's not even about, is there a deadly object in your home, because there are deadly objects in everybody's home. This is a question of, I'm trying to make this as delicate as I can, and I'm just not going to. This is a question of personal. This is a question of personal responsibility. When you boil all of these topics down, all of these, left wing, public safety questions, it all comes down to personal responsibility. When you're talking about guns, what I mean by this is, why are you so afraid of guns? Are you afraid of guns? Not you personally, but these people. Why are these people afraid of guns? Is it because they've personally known someone whose kid shot themselves? Or is it because they themselves have lost a child? And if they have, the question they need to be asking themselves is, why did their kid shoot themselves? Or why did their kid shoot their neighbor kid? This is not about guns. Removing guns from the equation is not going to solve the problem. The problem exists in the culture. The problem exists in the person who pulls the trigger. And that person is going to find a way to eliminate their competition or whatever the other motivation may be in another way. Go ahead, Al.
Let me put this in a different way. So John made a great point. Let's take guns out of the equation and replace it with prescription medication narcotics. Okay? So if you have a kid and I have a kid, but we really don't know each other that well, but our kids are going to hang out, and I come to your door, and my question to you is, do you have any prescription narcotics in your home? Would you answer that question?
Would I?
That's to you, Joel. Yeah.
God, this is so hard for me to answer, honestly, because I don't have kids. Never been in these situations.
Okay, so you don't even have to have kids. Say I'm visiting your home and I'm bringing my kid with me, and I say, do you have any prescription meds in your home, narcotics specifically? Say I want to ask you, do you have any opioids in your home that are readily available to me? If I worded it like that, do you have any opiates in your house? Would you answer that question?
Honestly, I'm not a particularly confrontational person when it comes to that kind of stuff. I would say, assuming I had any, I would, genuinely, I'm being honest here, I would probably say, I'd ask him, what are your concerns? Is there something I can do to alleviate this? I may or may not, but, there's no way anybody would get access to them if I did.
If you were to ask me that question, Al, I would say yes, there are, if there were, and I would thank you for, hey, thanks for reminding me they're on the kitchen counter. I should probably go put those away.
Maybe that.
See, I wouldn't do that. This is why. If I had narcotics in the home, narcotics kill, and prescription narcotics kill more people than firearms every year. That is...
Easily.
On the FDA, that is statistics FBI related, because kids steal them, take them, use them inappropriately, stuff like that.
That's clearly true. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
So if somebody were to come to my door, say they're bringing their kid over, and say, "Hey, do you have any, narcotics in your home?" If I had them on the counter, I go, "That's a personal question. I'm not willing to answer that. But now I have it in the back of my head. Maybe I should move that off the counter." But that's not an appropriate question to ask me. That's like coming up to me and saying, "Did you have a vasectomy?
It's
Does
weird.
your wife take it up the ass?"
Yeah. I mean,
You're not appropriate.
see, God, oh man,
I would agree with you.
I would feel so much more comfortable with these analogies if they didn't go where you were taking them out, because it just seems ridiculous to me. And I know maybe that's what you're going for, but
anal joke, and he threw in where you're taking them.
It is indeed an inappropriate question. The fact that, Al, you are the one presenting the argument, you are the one asking the question in this case, is why I would answer the way I am, because I value you as a friend. If these parents that are sharing their kids are aware of each other in any way, shape, or form, they're going to be friends. If they're not friends, then yeah, you don't need to be asking these questions. If they're not friends, you don't need to be taking your kid over to their home. Let's talk about play dates. Let's talk about what happened to roller rinks. I know kids don't go to roller rinks anymore. They do other things.
They just roll.
Maybe we need to bring roller rinks back. Maybe we need to bring back kid-oriented hangouts. I used to love going, even when I was 8 years old. My sister, of course, was 13, so she was a teenager. We would go to the roller rink, and we'd have 3 or 4 or even 5 hours with no parents, just hanging out at the roller rink. The only rule that we had was don't leave the place, don't leave the roller rink,
and don't take candy from strangers. But I would be interested to see what the statistics are on critical injuries and or. Well, I guess that death would be considered a critical injury, anybody, I suppose, on those giant trampolines as compared to guns. I know that's a huge issue with when you're getting like homeowners insurance or something like that. Those trampolines can be
I don't think you'll find that, because most of those injuries would fall under HIPAA, and insurance companies can't report those.
You know what? If YouTube and America's Funniest Home Videos are any indicator, it's a real problem.
I got fucked up on one. Seriously, I smoked a big fat no, that's not true. Although that does sound kind of fun, but it's not that I don't see your points, because I do. I mean, I guess I just don't. Because, again, I don't have any references, don't own any weapons, don't have any kids down the line. But I would not get particularly worked up about it. I would probably answer truthfully, and then I would probably let them decide whether they want to leave their kids at my house or not, and be fine with it either way. If they had more questions, I would probably answer those. I mean, that's what would probably happen with me.
Well, the difference is you're looking at somebody you most likely know.
Yeah.
And have most likely hung around, become friends with. But by then, you already know, chances are, what's going to be in their home.
Okay, so we beat this to death. We beat this to death. So what the point here is that this campaign isn't particularly, it doesn't seem particularly helpful. So. No. Then the next question is it worth the potential unintended consequences that we were discussing before? It seems to me it may not be.
You know what? I'm pretty familiar with kids, and I'm going to tell you right now, a first grader is not going to read the words. He's going to see the picture, or she's going to see the picture.
Is a thing, I'm telling you.
I don't think that this pamphlet is designed to prevent injuries. I think in a really painfully obvious way, this pamphlet is designed to create incidents that can be used as ammunition against firearms.
Well, that was one thing. One of the other things that was explained to me while I worked at the company, the healthcare provider, that did this, when they initially started it, they wanted it documented on the medical records because all those medical records had to report that information to the feds.
That wouldn't.
So now you've got names, dates, addresses, and how many firearms are in the house. And that's one of the reasons why this organization pushed as hard as they did to get it on the medical forms.
I'm silent right now because I'm speechless. That my creep factor just went up by an order of magnitude.
So now you say, I take my child to Joel's house, and hypothetically, we know that Joel doesn't, but he has guns. And I go, hey, Joel, how many firearms? Do you have firearms in your house that are unsecured? He goes, yeah, I've got a couple. I'll make sure they're locked up while your kid's here. Well, now next pediatrician appointment I go to with my kid, the pediatrician goes, do you have any firearms in your house? No, but my child hangs out with Joel. He's at this house. He's got 2 firearms, and he sometimes leaves them unsecured. Now that goes in my child's medical record. Now they have Joel and his house. That has nothing to do with my family.
Well, I just for the record, I do have 2 guns, but they're attached at my shoulders.
Oh, cute. I've got one between my pants, and it's a big rifle. Between my pants?
It's
a boom boom stick.
I was honestly expecting you to say, and it's got your name written all over it. So I mean, Al, that again, that's the situation you described is somewhat inflammatory because I can't really see a parent mentioning names unless they're already unless they drank the Kool-Aid and they're totally immersed in this anti-gun culture. And yeah,
a lot of them are
names. No, and I get it. I went to a liberal arts school. I get it, but the again, I can't get away from the bottom line question here, and I honestly think that it has everything to do with personal responsibility.
Well, can I ask just a quick question? It's just been bugging me for a few minutes here. Why is it that trampoline incidences wouldn't be reported because of HIPAA, but gun stuff would?
Because it's political.
Here's the thing. I don't know that I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if HIPAA plays into that kind of stuff because a lot of this stuff is taken as more as statistics and part of a person's personal chart and just dealt with in that capacity.
Well, the reason why is because if you look at the changes in the medical law and the mandatory reporting of unsafe or safe situations that can affect the child's safety, those are mandatory reporting up the chain to the federal government and the FBI. Trampolines aren't considered a public endangerment tool.
Honestly, they should cars.
They specifically labeled firearms that way so they could get this reporting to them. Several years ago, you can actually look it up.
Yeah, Doc, I don't keep drugs on the counter, but I do own a car. Oh, I got to report you, man. I got to report you own a car.